These were the questions that I was constantly asked growing up. Imagine going from a mocoso little kid to the most awkward stages of puberty and adolescence and being asked these questions every day, sin fallar. My mom would pick me up every day after school, and as soon as I would begin to approach my mother's vehicle, I knew exactly what to expect: an interrogation. You see, sometimes I didn't even have the chance to put on my seatbelt without being asked the first question: ¿Cómo te fue? ¿Qué tal tu día? Being raised to have to constantly share my part of the day, what I learned, who I talked to, what I did, it was overbearing. I feel like we've all had a common experience like this before. You know, you're on your phone late at night talking to your friend, chismeando about school or maybe a boy, and all of a sudden your mom just barges into your room saying, ¿Con quién hablas a estas horas? Who are you talking to at this hour? It felt like that. It felt like a constant invasion of privacy. But at the end of the day, I realized the effects and the outcomes. Reflection. In 1997, a study exploring family relationships and afterlife found that 7% of adult children had cut ties with their mother, and 27% of adult children had cut ties with their father. In 2020, sociologist Carl Pilmer found that every 1 in 4 Americans are estranged from their families. That's roughly 67 million people. What would it look like if we were all able to open up to our parents and talk to them about what we're feeling, what we're going through? Would this statistic go down? You see, my mom asking me every day how my day was, what I did, it allowed me to grow a sense of confidence in myself. And it allowed me to be able to communicate with pretty much anyone. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the access, the key to getting the access to the sacred pláticas de las tías y de las señoras. You know, the ones you have over cafecito y pan dulce? Those. This subtle habit, the habit of my mom asking me every day what I did and what I learned, it allowed me to be able to internalize what was going on around me. But most importantly, it allowed me the ability of reflection. The ability to reflect. But why is this important? What's so important about reflection? You see, reflection helps us internalize our feelings and allows us to grow as individuals. Reflecting on your day, on your experiences, on your mistakes, on your wins, on your losses, it can motivate us to want to become better for ourselves and for our family. Reflection helps us find meaning in what we are doing, purpose. And it allows us to find ways in which we can improve our lifestyles. Not reflecting, however, not reflecting on your emotions, on your day, it can make us lose sight of what is important and get us caught up in situations that do not matter. Socrates' most famous quote is, "The unexamined life is a life not worth living." You know, not reflecting on your life, on your experiences, can lead to severe anxiety and cause depression. And this is a battle that people my age face. If we were to reflect on our day, on what's going on around us, we could maybe find what's causing us to feel this way and allow us the courage to push all those negative factors away from us. Communicating with our parents about how we are feeling can make us feel at ease. Communication, reflection. But what would it look like if we were all able to form a true connection with our parents? You see, sometimes teenagers feel misunderstood by our parents. But it's because growing up, no one tells you what you're going to go through. Sometimes we get thrown all these curveballs and no one warned us. Hormones, puberty, acne, braces. It's such a confusing time for us, and we feel as if our parents don't understand this point in time for us. Especially since they post the most embarrassing pictures of us on their Facebook. And might I remind you, those pictures aren't going anywhere. But you know, at the end of the day, we forget to realize that our parents, they were once our age too. And you know what? At the end of the day, we might not always understand each other. But that's okay. Because you know what? At the end of the day, we all bring our fair share of mistakes to the table. No one's perfect. I consider myself to be very close with my parents, but because they took the time and the effort to build trust, a foundation with me, and connection. And yes, while there are days that are good, there are also days that are bad. But at the end of the day, we choose to accept each other for who we are and for how we come. Acceptance. But how common is this? How common is it to form a true connection with our parents? And what would it look like if instead of being afraid to express ourselves, we found joy in finding the differences in what make us all so unique? Oftentimes, we just tend to hide ourselves. But at the end of the day, we should learn to accept each other for how we are and for how we come. No one is perfect. You know, oftentimes our parents think differently than we do, and that's okay. Our parents are our role models, and we should yearn to them whenever we feel lost. Oftentimes we feel like we can't express ourselves or we can't do certain things, but they're there for us, no matter what. In any relationship, marriage, bond, it takes two to form a relationship. Both have to meet halfways, and both have to be willing to give and to take. Yet parents neglect to realize how important this factor is. Have you ever heard the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? That's because the way we are raised is how we will see life and how we will embrace it. Our parents are the ones that inspire us to see the glass half empty or half full. And they're the ones that determine our priorities, our personalities, and perception of life. Choices. In 1958, a man named Robert Lane named his first son Winner Lane to determine if it would give him a boost in life and see what kind of outcome it would have. Years later, Robert Lane had a second son, and he named that son Loser Lane. He did this to see if the two sons grew to be distinct individuals. And it turns out that they did. One son went to school and excelled academically, while the other son grew to be a criminal. Could you take a guess on which son grew to be successful in life and which son had to serve time? If you thought that Winner Lane was successful and that Loser Lane was the one who went to jail, ironically enough, you are mistaken. Loser Lane ended up going to college on a scholarship, becoming a detective and making a six-figure salary. Winner Lane had a crime record of over 30 arrests. It was said in an interview once that the Lane brothers rarely speak to each other anymore. No matter what card you are dealt with in life, we all have the opportunity to become someone of ourselves. We all have the opportunity to choose which path we're going to go down. You see, Loser Lane grew up being called loser, but despite that, overcame all the obstacles and became someone of himself. Winner Lane grew up being called winner, but instead chose to rebel against the authorities. Choices. I knew that growing up, the last thing I wanted to do was to disappoint my parents, let them down. You see, my parents, that were born in Nuevo León, Mexico, and raised in Arvin, California, were denied education because my grandparents, my abuelos, thought that it was more important that they help provide for the family instead of going to school to receive a piece of paper. So instead of my parents learning higher math, history dates, learning how to read properly, they learned how to avoid the sun while carefully picking grapes, citrus, other produce. So when my parents came to Edinburgh, Texas to raise their family, they put all of their dreams aside to ensure that my siblings and I had food on the table and a roof over our heads. And while they didn't go to school and they didn't receive that piece of paper, they have taught me such valuable skills in life that I will forever cherish. They taught me the value of $1 and that hard work, perseverance, and dedication is the key to success. Because of that, this fall, I will be a first-generation college student. Could you say that I pushed hard in life because of my parents? I can confidently tell you that it's true. They are the reason that I am here today and the reason that I am standing here before you. God has a plan and a mission for each and every one of us. It is our job, however, to choose the distinctive paths in life, just like the Lane brothers did. We can go down winner lane's path or loser lane's path. The choice is ours. I urge you to reflect on your day. I urge you to remember the words that I told you. I brought to you 3 words, and I emphasize them: reflection, acceptance, and choices. Reflect on your day. Reflect on all your wins, your losses, your experiences. Take those in and learn to better yourself, to become the best version you possibly can. Acceptance. Accept the circumstances. Accept and embrace your feelings, and accept that nobody is perfect, because neither are we. And once you learn to accept people for how they are, for who they are, and for how they come, you too soon will see how happy it is and how much of a beautiful thing it will be. Choices. Choose to do the good thing. Choose to go down the right path, and choose to do good for not only yourself, but your parents. Choose to let your parents in emotionally. Most parents always want what's best. So for that, I urge you to reflect on your day today. And by the end of today, to let someone that you felt help inspire your growth as a human, what you learned, what you did, who you talked to, let them know. And also tell them how much you appreciate your forever helplessness and guidance in life. Because life isn't easy, but when you have someone that's there to be by your side, it makes it all worth the while. So to my dad, who is not here because he is providing for the family, thank you. I know that you're listening, and I know that you will forever, forever believe in me. Thank you so much for your dedication to me. To my mother, who is in the audience, thank you so much for your continuous dedication to me and to my siblings. You have no idea how much appreciation and love we have towards you, all of us. And Ama, before you ask me how my day was, or what I did, who I talked to, just know that my day has been incredible, an unforgettable experience, and something that I will forever cherish with my life. How was your day? Thank you.